I learned that the secret to making $50,000 commission checks in the high ticket sales space had absolutely nothing to do with working harder. And that's very confusing to most people because they think that the entire sales world is just a linear game. So more input equals more output. But in this video, I'm gonna explain to you how I tore down what most high ticket sales coaches tried to tell me. And instead, I thought for myself and created my own process. And it resulted in me doing consistent $30,000 to $50,000 profit months while working the exact same amount, if not less than I was when I was at 10K a month. And in this video, I'm gonna pull back the curtain as to everything I did step by step so you can just copy me. Sounds good? If so, commit to watching this entire video because the difference between 5 to 10K a month and $50,000 a month in the remote sales space is not nearly as drastic as you probably think. If you're in the high ticket sales space, you already know what's possible. You've already seen 20-something-year-olds clearing $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 a month. And if you're anything like I was, you might see those commission checks and think to yourself, he must be on an insane offer. He must be selling some 25K plus offer. He must be closing all layups on warm traffic. And you disqualify yourself from the possibility of ever seeing the success on your own. But here's the truth. I was able to scale my commissions past $50,000 a month. And after doing so, I can confidently say that you can do the exact same thing without being on a 7-figure month offer, without offer stacking and working 15 hours a day, getting lucky with some massive launch that happens once in a blue moon. Yes, I have a predictable framework that I've taught dozens of students that have allowed them to multiply their commissions by 2 to 3x without offer hopping, taking more calls, or anything like that. Students like Eris, who went from his 9-to-5 job cold calling to breaking into the high ticket sales space and doing $20,000 a month profit within 90 days. Or Donovan, who went from not knowing how to sell to making $10,000 in take-home income within 3 weeks of joining the program. Or the dozens of other complete beginners or existing salespeople who implemented these strategies and quickly saw 5-figure commission checks hitting their bank account. Across the sample size of salespeople that I've helped to go from a few grand per month to making multiple 6 figures per year, there's been one thing that's really stuck out to me. The common issue plaguing the high ticket sales space is complacency. For the majority of high ticket closers, they find a plateau somewhere in the 5 to 15K a month range, and then they have very little urgency to actually break out of it. You're happy because you finally hit 7K a month online for the very first time, or even 10K a month. But then reality comes rearing its ugly head when your volume drops out of nowhere, you go into a slump, or your calendar becomes full of tire kickers and just super cold prospects. And before you know it, you've stacked up a couple slow weeks, you start freaking out. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that. The way to get out of this is to actually take the next step with your skill set. They think that the only way to break out of it is to somehow land a massive offer that they don't think they have the connections for, become a manager, which they might not have the experience for, or offer stack, which they might not have the time for. But I can confidently say that my process that's allowed me to clear $50,000 a month in the high ticket sales space consistently is something that anyone in the 3 to 15K a month range can implement and multiply their commissions within the next 90 days. And even if you're a complete beginner looking to break into the high ticket sales space and hit the ground running, you can implement this too. So if either of those sound like you, commit to watching this entirely because this video could allow you to be taking home an extra $10,000 to $20,000 a month in the next 60 days if actioned correctly. And honestly, I understand why a lot of salespeople get complacent with their income, if I'm being honest, because for most salespeople in the high ticket sales space, they're making more money than ever before. They're relatively comfortable with their existing offer or their existing team and they don't want to start over from scratch. Or they're just so stuck in their ways because it got them to where they're at. So when it comes to actually reaching that next income milestone, it can be pretty confusing. There's only a handful of things you could do to multiply your commissions in the high ticket sales space. You could offer stack, but this means working 12 plus hours a day, which means splitting focus between multiple offers and multiple teams. You could jump to a new offer, but this means that you're just gonna probably run into the exact same issue a few months from now because it's honestly just a band-aid on a bullet wound. Complain about volume and beg your marketer to scale up ads, but at the end of the day, you complaining doesn't get your commission checks looking any better. Do nothing and complain in general, which is what the majority of reps do. But what if I told you that there was a way to 2 to 3 extra commissions without speaking to a single extra prospect than you would already? Yes, the best and most efficient way to multiply your commissions in high ticket sales is to be able to do more with less, aka multiplying your commissions without working more hours. And when you implement this simple 2-step process in tandem with each other, even if you're not on a massive offer, you can still be clearing 20 to 30K a month and become the top closer on your team. So what's this simple 2-step process that's allowed me to consistently hit those $50,000 commission months? Step 1 is using my pre-frame psychology system to get prospects warmed up and in a buying state before I even get on the phone with them. So let's talk about why this is so crucial. Your skin probably crawls when you hear phrases like, I need to think about it. I don't make decisions on the spot. I'm not sure if I'm ready to invest right now. And if you're anything like me, after hearing these cop-outs dozens and dozens of times, you start feverishly searching for solutions. You get caught in the black hole of different scripts, tactics, tactics, talk tracks. Meanwhile, you have all of the pressure from your offer owner, from your sales manager, and from the marketers wondering why these leads aren't getting closed. And it feels like defeat. Again, every deal I didn't close where I knew that a real elite closer would have, I took those as personal defeats. Until I realized this. What if I told you that there was a way to get around every single one of these objections before they even came out of your prospect's mouth? Because while your favorite sales trainer is telling you to build urgency with discounts or give more aggressive pushback on objections and use magic closing words like you're casting a spell on someone, my best closers are all experts when it comes to understanding buyer behavior, understanding how consumers make purchasing decisions in sophisticated markets like the high-ticket sales space has become in the past few years, and intrinsically, how human beings are mentally hardwired to make big decisions as a whole. This is what allows us to reverse engineer the emotional triggers that result in objections like we just talked about. And they give you a clear and predictable process to being able to pre-handle those objections before they ever even come up. So while the average high ticket closer is doing the bare minimum and just closing layups, we're pre-selling and pre-framing all of our prospects to ensure that over 60% of our calls end with us collecting payments. Let me take a detour real quick and talk to you about the absolute king of pre-framing and pre-selling prospects, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is not only one of the most successful life coaches ever, he's also a massive info guru, but he is the king of instilling beliefs into people that will later dictate them taking action on making a purchasing decision. Tony Robbins speaks, operates, and essentially pre-frames every single one of his listeners constantly, and every single word he says is calculated, so that when he goes and pitches a $50,000 or $100,000 or even more expensive product to them, they've already been mentally pre-sold for hours, and they buy without thinking twice. In a more practical sense, I've found that framing of your sales conversations with prospects completely predetermines the outcome. And when you understand how to stack the deck in your favor by asking the right questions and understanding the psyche of your customer, that's what makes closing deals effortless. So like I said, this isn't just a matter of having a few magic phrases you pull out of your back pocket. It's deeper than that. It's having a fundamental understanding of what kills deals and what makes customers buy, and then being able to manipulate those behaviors in your favor. Let's take an example of a prospect who, when we ask, what have you done to try to get to XYZ desired point? What have you done to try to get to 20K a month in the past? And they respond hypothetically with, oh, I haven't tried anything yet. This is when most closers would take that answer and continue moving through the call. Instead, we push back on this and we get to the root cause of why the prospect has never done anything to solve this issue in the past, which is usually some sort of limiting belief like, oh, I figured I'd just be able to do it on my own. What you do with that answer is you isolate it and extrapolate it to why they're in their current state, why they're on the sales call, and future pace it as to what will happen if they continue in this same limiting mindset. Such as, well, can you see how this way of thinking where we've put off getting advanced help because we thought we could figure it all out on our own is the exact reason why you're on this call talking to me and dealing with XYZ issues? And then to extrapolate it, because what have you lost because you thought you could just figure it all out on your own? And what happens if you continue to think that way and nothing changes for the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And then finally, how committed are you to getting over that way of thinking and investing in yourself to get where you want to go? This is really great ammo for later in the call when we're able to now pre-handle objections because we isolated limiting beliefs before and replace them with the belief that we want them to instill. Just like Tony Robbins isolates, breaks down, and then rebuilds people's limiting beliefs and essentially replaces them with the beliefs he wants them to have, we're able to isolate, break down, and then pre-frame prospects to get around objections before they even come out of the prospect's mouth. This allows us to destroy sales resistance of all shapes and forms before it ever even comes up. So while every other high-ticket closer bashes their head into the wall trying and failing to conquer the exact same objections dozens and dozens of times over, we're essentially diffusing the bomb before it's ever even planted. Next, the second step of this process is collecting the low-hanging fruit within your company to earn an extra 10K a month outside of your inbound calls. As you and I both know, the average high-ticket closer loves to complain about volume, complain about lead quality, and neglect follow-up like it's a bubonic plague. But the real killers in the high-ticket sales space, aka the ones that will last, are able to hunt for their own leads within your company's ecosystem and collect an extra 6 figures a month in revenue, 5 figures take home, while the rest of the team complains. And no, you don't have to be on $1 million a month offer to make this work. What most closers fail to realize is that at any given time, there is at least 6 figures worth of potential cash to be collected inside of your company's CRM. And odds are you're gonna be the only one driven enough to go and get it. See, most closers think that low ticket buyers are going to ascend on their own, and that high ticket buyers will inquire on their own to buy a more expensive product, or that people who didn't have money weeks or months ago will never have the money. And even when you say those out loud, you realize how dumb they sound. I've made over 6 figures a year focusing on upsells and another 6 figures just off follow-up. I mean, really think about it. If someone is interested enough to get on a live sales call or follow through with a purchase, there is a massive amount of interest being shown, and these people are prime to make purchasing decisions, especially when you have proven strategies to re-engage them and get into a buying state again using the thought process I gave you in step 1. So let's talk about exactly how I'd go about doing this. First, like we said in the first step, the way you frame and constantly reframe your prospects matters. When you present yourself as an authority and more importantly as a solution to your prospects on the first call, whether they close or not, you can't just stop after that first call. And most salespeople stop after they make the sale, which is why they leave 6 figures of potential commissions on the table every single year. Whereas think about this. What if making that initial sale was just the beginning of the prospect's relationship with you? This is the first step in a system where you've clearly laid out how you're going to ascend and upsell them into even more premium packages as time goes on and as they make progress. See, the thing that most salespeople fail to realize is that once someone buys one product from you and they see a massive transformation from it, their human bias is that if they do it again, and maybe even for a significantly bigger investment, they're going to see another massive change as a result. This is why I put such a heavy emphasis onto upsells, ascensions, cross-sells, renewals, because it puts the ball back in my court where I have control and a high likelihood of getting existing buyers to buy again, rather than just complaining about my volume. I'll give you a quick example. When I close a prospect, I'll have them book a 30-minute practice call for 30 days out from when they commit to join the low ticket or mid ticket program. This is framed as a progress call or a way for us to help them improve. At this point, I've already planted the seed that if they do choose to upgrade, we'll credit whatever they paid for the low ticket or the mid ticket product towards the high ticket. And on that 30-minute call, we run the call, we give them free value, but at the same time, we're building doubt around the initial struggles they've had up to that point. An example is, yeah, I hear you, outreach is a numbers game, but I feel like by day 30, most of our guys have seen at least a couple interviews, and the fact you haven't makes me think we might need to refine your approach a little bit more than we can on this call. Plus, you'll want to have ongoing help with this until you land a role, right? And then position the high ticket program as a solution for that specific program. But like I said last month, we're able to credit what you've already paid towards the coaching offer, and inside of that coaching offer, we can help you actually refine the outreach, hold you accountable, and make sure you're actually being consistent, help you iterate along the way, and potentially even give you guaranteed placement as we place a handful of people every week onto 6 figures a year OTE rules. And you want to acknowledge whatever success they've had in the low ticket or mid ticket program up to that point. The same way that after going through X product you told me, made you feel a lot more confident about closing, I really think that upgrading to the coaching package will be able to solve the new objection problem for you a lot more quickly. And then we build urgency by letting them know that their upgrade to be able to credit their existing investment needs to be done within the first month. This is just one of the countless ways that I've been able to close more deals without having more calls booked on my calendar. And of course, I'll happily share this one method with you. But trust me, there is much more powerful frameworks I'd share with you behind closed doors. So like I said, the key to making consistent $50,000 months in the high ticket sales space has nothing to do with constantly offer hopping, taking more calls, or trying a million different talk tracks. Instead, it really boils down to these 2 key strategies that will allow you to separate yourself from everyone else in the space. And I proved this to myself by getting to 10K a month within 4 months of starting in high ticket sales, hitting my first 30K a month just 3 months later, and then 50K a month shortly after that. And I have even more proof that this process works because I'm taking existing salespeople who thought they were already being trained by the best and show them how to actually sell. Paul went from making $3,000 a month and feeling super unconfident and uncomfortable objection handling to making $13,000 a month and pre-handling all of his objections within a 60-day period. Caleb went from bottom of the leaderboard to the very top by 6xing his close rate. He closed more deals in his first month with me than he did in the past 3 months combined. Or Thon, a 14-year-old kid who went from making $500 a week to making $5,000 a week in under 60 days, taking the exact same amount of calls. Jabari made double his highest commission month ever within the first 2 weeks of working with me, taking the exact same amount of calls. Keep in mind, these are all existing salespeople who are seeing this drastic of changes after being coached by us. Imagine thinking that you are already top of your class and then you implement our strategies and your commission multiplies within 60 days. But here's the one key thing that all of them did. They understood this one simple truth, is that information isn't what gets you to $30,000 or $50,000 months. Implementation and constant iteration does. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, in this video, I technically gave you the baseline of information. You need to go and do this yourself. But Paul, Caleb, Thon, Jabari, and the dozens of other success stories all have this in common. They understood that in order to see the results in record time, time, they needed someone to help implement this information into their current process and help them iterate over time. So what they all did is they took initiative and actually got some skin in the game. They invested into high ticket Syndicate, even though they already got the information from me for free, technically. So why would they invest? Well, because they understand that the information is no good unless they have someone who's done this the right way for years, keeping you on track, and having someone to nitpick your calls in real time, someone to help you refine your approach, not solely following the advice I gave you. Everything needs to be custom to you, and you need someone constantly sharpening you. And I'm not just saying this, I'm a practitioner of it. The only reason I was able to scale to $50,000 a month in commissions is because I invested over $50,000 into myself in the best coaching that money could buy. And just from a logical perspective, that was a great investment. It paid itself off within 60 days. But even beyond that, I had a newfound confidence in my ability to close literally anyone on my calendar. I had a newfound burning desire inside of me to continue to scale my income even past $50,000 a month when I realized what was possible. And I completely eliminated all of the burnout and the lack of confidence I had in my sales ability previously. And to be honest, you and I both know this. If you really want to make progress quickly, you need to have some skin in the game and invest in yourself. I mean, as salespeople, it would be hypocritical to say anything different. So if you want to know how you and I can fast track this entire process together and allow you to drastically raise your closing numbers and commissions, learn all of my tactics I've used to collect 5 figures a month in commissions by finding low-hanging fruit with my offers pipeline, become a salesperson who can deeply understand and get ahead of buyers' decisions and the rationale to get around objections and effortlessly close deals that used to constantly have me stuck. Then let's talk about how we can tackle this together. This advanced hands-on apprenticeship is known as the High Ticket Syndicate. And quickly, I'll tell you what's inside. So once you're admitted, you'll get access to high-level curriculum covering everything that we outlined in this video and so much more. I'm talking about closing, to setting, to booking more calls for yourself, to follow-ups, objection handling, upsells, renewals, everything in between. Elite group training with 8 weekly calls with other high-level salespeople looking to improve at a rapid pace. Live objection prevention training, real live call analysis, a monthly one-on-one call with myself, a private community filled with other elite salespeople you can learn with and learn from, and access to my network of $10,000 to $20,000 a month offers with guaranteed placement. Basically, you'll get the expedited path to those 20 to 30K months as a high-ticket closer without all the frustration and second guessing that comes with trying to do it all on your own. And you and I both know this. Hitting income plateaus can be frustrating and demoralizing, and if you're anything like me, you want constant progress month over month. And if I'm being honest, low-skill closers are getting churned out. I promise you that with the influx of new closers coming into the market every single month, in 6, 12, 18 months, if you can't confidently hold your own on an offer and close at a very competitive rate, you're just going to continue to get dropped down the totem pole and eventually be outcompeted by the guys who are actually doubling down on their skill set. And as time goes on and more salespeople come into the high ticket sales space, the bar continues to raise in terms of quality of sales rep needed to actually compete. And if you just plateau or even diminish in terms of skill set, you're going to get pushed out. So not only is this a way for you to have some staying power in the industry and be confident that you'll be taking home multiple 6 figures per year for the foreseeable future, this is your way to take the next income leap quick and start unlocking the even higher levels of freedom that come with taking home multiple 5 figures per month. So again, after everything we've talked about today, it should be very clear how this will be a profitable investment for basically any high ticket closer who's motivated to work. So if you're ready to invest, just click the button below and apply. And if you're not ready to apply yet, let's talk about why that might be. Obviously, I'm guessing here, but based on this sample size of applicants I've spoken to, a lot of applicants were hesitant to invest in the program because they've already invested in themselves when they started off in sales. And I'll just give you this example. If you're trying to get good at golf, the way to expedite your initial success is investing in beginner lessons. But if you do beginner lessons and then you never advance into intermediate or expert lessons, you start to go off on your own. You develop your own bad habits, and eventually those bad habits get worse. The exact same thing will happen in sales, especially after hundreds and hundreds of reps per month. Those bad habits you build, those limiting beliefs you build, they compound. And the way to continuously stay sharp and continue to advance in not only your skill set, but also in your earnings is to continue to climb the totem pole and invest into increasingly more advanced training. training. Like I said, I've taken my own advice here. I've invested over $50,000 in myself in just the past year. And then I got to the point where I was making $50,000 a month in less than 60 days. And by the way, you get all of my lessons and all of my experience that I got through my years in sales for a fraction of what I invested to learn it. You won't even pay 1/5 of what I paid to learn all of this, and you'll get the straight to the point, no BS version of it, so you can start getting those massive commission checks ASAP. As you and I both know, more times than not, investing in yourself is usually the catalyst to a massive income jump. All of the testimonials I just gave you were existing salespeople. All of them decided to invest into this program, and those were the results they got in just a few months of working together. Which leads me to the next thing people typically ask. Why invest with you as opposed to anyone else? Well, you definitely could go invest with some of the more household names in the advanced sales training space, but I'll go back to the exact same golf example. If you wanted advanced lessons, do you think you'd be better off learning from someone who retired 10 years ago or someone who is actively on the PGA Tour today? The sales space is one that's constantly evolving. Buyers are more sophisticated year after year, and what worked in 2020 isn't what's still working today. So with that being said, it's certainly in your best interest to get hands-on coaching from someone who is still in the field today as opposed to someone who was in the field years ago. Of course, sales is still sales, and I think that the reason why my mentees get such amazing results is because of the attention and the time commitment I give to each of them that most others can't match. And the fact that all of our training is hyper-specific to only the high-ticket sales space, we're not teaching for multiple industries. So if you're still on this video, at this point of the VSL is where you typically hear some long, drawn-out emotional pitch about how this investment will change your life, blah, 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 blah. We're already in sales, so I won't do that. But what I will say is you and I both know that hitting $20,000 to $30,000 months in high-ticket sales is not that far away. If you're able to hit it working with me a few months sooner than doing it on your own, your ROI on your investment multiplies 10 times over. Every day you remain average as a salesperson on the wrong offer, not knowing how to pre-handle objections, etc. You miss out on $500, $1,000, $1,500, if not more per day in commissions from deals that the elite version of you would have closed. So every day from now on, if you choose not to apply, time's ticking. Either you become elite on your own. We all know that this is the longer and least efficient route because you can only train yourself so much. Or every single month you miss out on $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 in commissions that you could have had if you just doubled down on your skill set. Again, we all know that it's easy to get stuck at those income plateaus where you're making enough to get by, but you're not really where you want to be yet. And taking action and investing in yourself is the way to kickstart your nervous system into, okay, it's time to do this mode, and actually snap out of complacency. Another thing to mention is that if I get you placed on an offer with significantly higher earning potential than your current one, that's another event that would massively change your income trajectory. And honestly, I alluded to this before. I see it firsthand. There are hundreds and hundreds of sales reps being onboarded into the high ticket sales space every single month. And over time, the median quality of sales reps will continue to rise. And continuing to level up your skill set and stay at the top of your class is the best way to protect and ultimately grow your income. I've had those weeks where I'm in a slump and I start freaking out because I'll only make a few grand that week. I've had calls where I get off of Zoom and I'm furious that I keep running into and getting stumped on the exact same objection time and time and time again. And I've literally had days so bad that I've considered jumping to a whole nother business model. But in my experience, the answer is always to hone in on your skill set and learn how to truly become elite at what you do. So if that's what you want to do with me as your guidance, click the link below and apply. I'll be looking forward to seeing you soon inside of the community.